Hey, fool, this ain't no football game.
Emma's a pimp!
Wait until the Reaper takes my life.
Lucky for you, you are right where you need to be. So sit back, relax, and turn up the volume on your streaming device. Johnny Ballgame, Sir Poops a Lot, and the Fantasy Reaper are about to deliver humor and fantasy gold at the same time. Crush your opponent with a smile. It's Fantasy Sports Island.
Welcome, everyone, to Fantasy Sports Island Week 18 edition, where the men are men and the sensitive can go screw themselves. I'm your host, Johnny Ballgame Isbell, and with me, as always, is the Pod Father, the creator of the show, Mr. Chuck, the Fantasy Reaper. How you doing tonight, brother?
Johnny freaking Ballgame, hosting the show again. I love it. Takes the pressure off of me. I'm feeling pretty good, John.
Oh, sure, because I did all the work for tonight, so of course you're feeling good. Real relaxed. I've just come off vacation. Ooh, look at me, Fantasy Island.
Got me a nice tan.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hey, Chuck, remind me, if people like what we do, how can they help with those old logarithms?
I believe they're called algorithms, but
whatever.
Hit that like button, perhaps, and subscribe to the channel. We do this almost every week, and we'll be here in the off season as well, giving you tips, all kinds of cool stuff for next season. So you don't want to go anywhere, Johnny.
That's a great point. We want to give a shout out to our friends Tony, Sir Poops a Lot, and the Fantasy Rolls Royce. Gents, we miss you, but as they say, you drag the show down. No, I'm kidding. The show must go on.
Oh, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant. The show must go on. Chuck, we got to start the show by talking about what is on a lot of people's minds for a variety of reasons, and that is the postponed Bengals-Bills game this past Monday. And as of the taping of this podcast, Damar Hamlin, second-year safety from Buffalo, remains in critical condition in the ICU at the University of Cincinnati Medical Center. Family and friends do say that he's showing some small positive signs, but unfortunately still sedated, still in ICU. Chuck, we've been doing this a long time. Is this the most shocking thing we've ever seen in a football game?
I'm going to say second most shocking thing. The most shocking thing to me was, two things actually were more shocking. The COVID situation where they postponed some games in the preseason and then they were playing without crowds. That was kind of shocking to me. But The most shocking thing was 9/11. They absolutely canceled week 1. We had no games for a whole week. I don't know if you remember that, but that was a scary situation in the world. This was the next most frightening thing I've ever seen in a sports game. I mean, this was the poor guy died on the field and was resuscitated. And I don't know if you know this, John, but he went back to the hospital after they resuscitated him, and he died again, and they had to resuscitate him for a second time. So my thoughts and prayers are with Hamlin. I am most concerned for the amount of time he was clinically dead, because the longer you are out, not getting oxygen to the brain, the more chance of a brain injury. So I'm really hoping that he wasn't out that long, like too long. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm with you. I you've been listening to all these doctors. Of course, there's been a million people talking, and there's been a couple of doctors say, though, if you're going to have a heart attack and it's not in the hospital, an NFL field is the second best place you could ever have a heart attack, right?
Absolutely, because there's medical staff on site ready to go, and they're trained for this kind of thing. They know exactly what to do. They saved his life so far because of the AED treatment they gave him. They had to shock the rhythm back in his heart, and they were able to do that. So if he can pull through and make it, and from what I'm hearing, he's improving. He's up to 50% assistant on oxygen instead of 0 or 100% where he needed oxygen, mechanically done for him. Now he's breathing halfway on his own. That's a good sign. So continued health and recovery for Hamlin. I like what I'm hearing so far.
Yeah, me too. And I think you're absolutely right. And I think the medical staff there, just unbelievable. Cincinnati, Buffalo, coaching staff, the commentators, the camera work, the TV, just as classy and as good of thing as we could have seen. It was the perfect amount of being able to see it but not see it, showing some players' reactions and coaches' reactions, commentators didn't try to over talk it and speculate and all of that stuff. I just thought it was really well handled. And I say, kudos to ESPN for what they did. I thought the whole thing was really well handled.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine you're there to be an analyst about a football game, and then this happens, and you can't really speculate on what just happened because you're not a doctor, and you're not really allowed to talk about the game anymore because you're more concerned about this human being on the field.
Yeah.
And so what they had to do was kind of like straddle that line, right? Or they want to talk about what just happened and how they're feeling and all that, but not go straight too far away from that and start talking about football, which doesn't matter. So excellent job, ESPN.
Yeah, totally. One of my most disappointing things to come out of this is the threats and the downpour in some cases on T. Higgins, as if T. Higgins did anything wrong. T. Higgins made a football play. He made a move. He got tackled. It wasn't like he went and hit somebody. He got tackled, went to the ground. He's been, reached out. He's sent prayers through social media and things like that. T. Higgins has nothing to be upset about. And from what I heard, DeMar Hamlin's family is actually very upset that he has been getting this kind of crap too. So
yeah, that's just silly, folks. I mean, the guy made a tackle.
Stop.
I mean, the odds of what happening is very slim. It takes a whole set of occurrences to happen at the exact same time for his heart to stop in that situation, and it happened.
We don't even know that it was football related. Like, he could have just simply had that heart attack at that time. Like, it's insane. So now, and again, our show, I know I speak for Chuck, I speak for Tony and Royce. Our prayers really do go out. And honestly, we were all shocked. And all four of us were real quiet this week, which is not like us because we're, idiots. But we're all just kind of quiet and really trying to take it in and try to be as respectful about the situation as humanly possible. And so we've been known to joke and cut up about injuries and things like that. This one we left alone and gave it the respect because, frankly, it's just something you never want to see happen to anybody. And so most of us have never seen a person die live on television, and that was a little bit shocking, I think, to everybody. So again, our prayers out to the family. We hope to God he recovers someday and can talk about it, and then we can make fun of him later for something else that he does goofy on the field. But for now, the dude's unbelievable. And the outpouring $6 million so far on that charity that he's got. I mean, it really is crazy. So now people still want their fantasy news, and there are some implications, both playoff and fantasy wise. So, you look at some people, I myself, you guys who watch the show know I love Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's my dude. He was obviously my starting quarterback in a championship game this weekend. I'm not going to get those points for Joe, and that's fine. In our league, we decided to, in this sleeper league that Tony runs, actually, Tony and I were in the championships or poops a lot, and we just decided to split it. First and second place both got money. We just combined those two and we split it, and we said, that's fine. Here we go. Amicable split makes the most sense. Everybody in the league feels like that's fine. Nobody has it. It's not a total points league, so there's nothing really that's impacted by that. Now, the NFL's already come out and said they're not playing this game, Chuck. They've already said it's not going to play this week, and we'll decide later. We have made no decision. So there's really only three choices. One, they play week 18. Then they push the playoffs back a week, play the Bengals-Bills game. If there's playoff implications, that would take the bye week out from between the conference championship and the Super Bowl. The likelihood of that happening is slim to none.
Zero, John, because now
there's a 0.5%, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you're say the Philadelphia Eagles and you're the 1 seed and you get the bye, now you get pushed back an extra week. So now you have 2 weeks off. That means you go 3 weeks between games. How is that fair to the Philadelphia Eagles? For one game.
It's not fair, and it's unlikely. I'm just listing the choices.
Right.
The other choice they've got is they could give them both a tie, which will affect them by a half a win and a half a loss. Probably not affect too much of it. Or they could go no contest, which means those guys are going to be based on a 16-game season instead of a 17-game season like everybody else. Probably won't matter too much. The only thing it really is going to matter for, most likely, is the number 1 seed for the AFC playoffs, because now the Chiefs have a much easier road to get to that first spot if they don't lose this week. they would automatically be the first seed.
Yeah, and then the Bills wouldn't have a chance to
the Bills wouldn't have a chance, neither would the Bengals, who, had the Bengals won, they would have been one game behind the Chiefs and had that possibility, and a win already against the Chiefs. So if the Chiefs lost, the Bengals actually could have been number one. The other thing it could affect is it gives the Ravens now an opportunity to still win the conference championship if the Bengals should lose this week, and the Ravens, because the Ravens would be playing them. And so there is a little bit of implication on that. So I guess, obviously it is going to be what it is going to be. But now we got to figure out from a fantasy commissioner standpoint, because this was championship week in 99% of the leagues out there who have playoffs and do head to head. So Chuck, you're a fantasy league commissioner, and frankly, one of the best ones that I know. What are some choices fantasy managers have? What should they be thinking about? What are some pros and cons of each of those things?
All right, so if you're playing in a head-to-head league and week 17 is your championship game, you have two options. Split the pot, call it a tie, do what we did in Sleeper, or you could take the players that played in that Bengals game and push them to week 18. There is a week 18, so you take Mixon and Burrow and T and etc., all the guys, that played in that game, and you get the points that they score in week 18 for week 17. And then you total those up and you see who comes out as champion. That's another way to do it. Okay. I preferably prefer, well, it depends. Some of the leagues, nobody had the teams that were playing each other, they actually didn't have players in that game. So it's final. Yeah. We're talking about the teams that actually still had players left. So I think the best option is just to call it a tie. See, split the pot. However, that might not be an option for some. Like, for instance, John, let's say going in that game, you were down by 100 points and you only had two players left and you needed 100 points to catch them. That wouldn't really be fair to Tony if you just called it a tie. If it's close, call it a tie. If not, you might have to do the week 18 thing. Okay. Yeah. Now in total points leagues, this is the league that I run, the big money league. This is it's a lot to think about because we have three teams that are involved in the total points. Myself, and two other teams. And so we're all battling it out. And one of the teams lost out on Josh Allen, Joe Mixon, and T. Higgins in that game. He doesn't get points for those right now. So what are we going to do in the total points? He was in first, and now he fell back to second because he lost out on a lot of points in that game.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah.
And we can't just take what they do in week 18 and apply it to 17 because what do we do for week 18?
Because week 18 is still in play. Right.
Yeah. So I'm trying to figure this all out, and I think what I'm going to do is we're going to do the tie for the head-to-head championship in week 17 between those two teams, and then we're going to see what happens in week 18 and then figure it out from there for the total points. And it's a lot to think about, guys. It's a lot of pressure on your commissioners. So if you're not a commissioner and you're just playing in the league and you're involved in a situation like this, my best advice is to be cool about it and try to find common ground with the other owners and make it easy for your commissioner, because this is not an easy decision. This is, it's a cluster F, John. That's all.
And as we get further away from the incident, the less caring and compassionate people get, because now they're talking about their money, right? Yeah. In our league, you're talking big money.
Yeah.
For that first place. That first place and second place is a big difference.
Yeah.
Right there. And third place doesn't get anything. So you're kind of screwed there. And we're that close from first to third that it makes an absolute difference. I think personally, and if you can do it, then it would be great, is I'd say you give the season average for the players who are involved in that game. So
but that's not really fair. That's not really fair.
There's no fair way to do it.
Because the season average of points, for instance, a guy like T. Higgins, his season average is weighed down a little bit because he had two different games where he played and didn't really play in the game and got like zeros 2 times. So that brings his season average per game down. And now you're going to apply that to his score.
I know, but now he's got 0 or he's got 1.
Sure. And
so what I'm saying is it's better than nothing.
It's better than nothing. But the key to me is the matchup. We were about to see a shootout. We know that game was going to be a shootout. And in the shootout,
I had Burrow. You don't have to tell me.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So that's tough to just assign like their average for that game when we know they were going to score more than their average in that game.
I'm saying in lieu of 0 or in lieu of a couple of points, the season average to replace those 0 points isn't a bad way to do it in a world where there's not a fair way to do it, right? If you're at total points and you go all 18 weeks, you've got a week 17 with no points for some of those players. And so how you figure out how to give them points, you got to pretty much take the average, in my opinion, I think.
It's definitely an option, Johnny.
Yeah. All right. Let's stop talking about this. I'm exhausted of it. All right. So again, prayers, good healing vibes, all that to DeMar and his whole family. Let's get on with some other fantasy news and notes for the day.
All right.
So Justin Fields will not play this week because of a hip. Justin is 64 yards shy of Lamar's single-season quarterback rushing record. Chuck, here's my question to you. Is Justin Fields this year's Jalen Hurts or this year's Tim Tebow?
Oh, he's definitely this year's Jalen Hurts. You just need to surround this guy with weapons, because when he did have the weapons, prior to all the injuries to his receivers, he was passing the ball pretty well there for a stretch. He's having some really good games. Now, he does run the ball too much, but I think that was out of necessity. I really do. I think in the offseason, they have a lot of cap room, and I think they're going to go out and get themselves a couple of weapons for Fields, and I think you'll see he's more like Jalen Hurts than he is like Tim Tebow. I can just tell by the way he throws the football down the field that he has touch, power in his arm, and he can throw on the run. He reminds me much more of Josh Allen, to be honest, and I think with the proper coaching and the proper weaponry around him, he could be a really dangerous quarterback in real life and in fantasy.
I'm going to need to clean myself up when you start recording. I'm a Bears fan for those folks who are new to the show.
No, tell me more.
Fan. I'm a Bears fan and an Ohio State fan, so Justin Fields is literally my wheelhouse, right? Like it's like the perfect guy for me. Mm-hmm. I've been disappointed this year in some of it, but I can't blame him. He doesn't have anybody to throw to.
Nobody.
I mean, Equanimous St. Brown is not his brother. Okay, Darnell Mooney was non-existent for most of the year, even before he got injured. Just whatever. Okay, so I'm rooting for the Jalen Hurts / Allen. I like that. All right. Commanders, who just went back to Wentz last week, but then were quickly reminded why Wentz is Wentz, watching him throw 3 picks. They're going to name rookie quarterback Sam Howell the starter this week. 2 questions for you. Is Wentz done in the NFL?
No, he's not done. Some other team will use. I think he might be done as a starter, though, John. It might be time to view him as a backup quarterback, as an insurance quarterback. So I think he'll end up on a roster, but he should not start anymore. Okay, I am excited to see Sam Howell. I don't think they can make the playoffs. I think they've been eliminated, right?
They've been eliminated.
So let's take a look and see what Sam Howell brings to the game. And why not?
They can ruin Dallas's chance of getting a number 1 seed, because Dallas does have a very slight outside chance of getting a number 1 seed. Things would have to happen. I like Howell. Actually looks pretty good in the preseason. Howell looked okay. I was like, okay, they might have something for the future there. So we'll see. We'll see how the guy does. Is Rivera done in Washington, or do you think they give him another year?
I actually like what he's done with this team. He doesn't have great weapons. Again, his receivers are pretty good, but he doesn't have the quarterback that he needs. Right?
I was going to say, he's got weapons everywhere but quarterback.
Right? Yeah. I mean, and that's the most important position.
2 good running backs. Yeah. He's got a tight end, if he could stay healthy, he's pretty damn good, and Logan Thomas. He's got great receivers, in my opinion. I mean, really the basis of a really great receiving core. The defense is starting to look good and starting to get healthy again. I almost felt like it was weird, because you had like no expectations and big expectations all at the same time, because you thought maybe Wentz was the missing piece. And I thought, actually, I agree with you that Rivera did good most of the season, because I think he got the most out of that group. His going back to Wentz last week, and now he's going to Sam Howell, it feels a little bit desperate and feels a little bit like, I don't know, like he kind of wasn't quite sure what he wanted out of the team over the last year. So that's all. And I'm a Ron Rivera fan, Chicago Bear, love the guy, Riverboat Ron, but just ask him. I'm just
And
asking questions.
Harbaugh from Michigan is lurking out there. There's a lot of coaches, a lot of interest in him as a coach in the NFL.
He talked to
And
Carolina.
yeah, Carolina is one team, but Washington is another team that he could possibly end up with. So there is some interest there. But I think Rivera will stay. I mean,
I think so.
I think people like Rivera. He's someone you want to play for.
Yeah. This is also the annual season of the Jim Harbaugh talking to pro teams before he decides to stay at Michigan. So,
Yeah.
Cardinals are going to be starting David Blau, the venerable David Blau under center, shutting down Colt McCoy, who had a concussion, because they don't know if they'll need him to start the season next year if Kyler, don't call me Easy E. Murray, struggles to come back from knee surgery. It looks pretty much like everyone else except for Hollywood Brown will be riding the pine this weekend for the Cardinals. Chuck, this is another coach question for you. Is there a more disappointing team than the Cardinals, and is Kingsbury done in Arizona?
I mean, if you ask me in a vacuum, should he be done? Yeah, he should be. He's terrible. Okay, everyone knows this. They need to go out and get a offensive mind who actually can make it work. Because I know he's an offensive mind, but his mind is kind of terrible. So, yeah. But the problem is they paid him a lot of money and gave him a huge extension. And now, I mean, if they were to let him go, they're going to be paying him to sit at home a lot of cash. So I don't think they will. But we'll see. You never know. If Sean Payton comes to calling, yeah, you make that move. But they're the most disappointing team in fantasy and in reality. They had a terrible year all the way across the board. The only bright spot to me was how well Hopkins played.
Yeah.
And Connor at the end.
And Connor. Yeah, actually Connor played pretty well. He actually stole my thunder a little bit. I was going to say, what if Sean Payton was available and interested?
There you go.
In a minute, right? I mean, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. All right, last news and note. Mecole Hardman's been activated from IR and is practicing this week. Would you play him this week if you had him and were desperate?
No. I got to see it before he does it, and this is week 18. I would just drop him. I would not mess with – I don't want to mess with Kansas City receivers because you don't know which one's going to get the volume each week. It's crazy. They spread the ball out, Johnny.
They sure do.
Fantasy Heroes and Zeros.
All right, let's get into our Heroes and Zeros segment. All right, give me your first zero quarterback, Chuck.
You want a zero quarterback?
Zero quarterback.
All right. That's easy. Justin Herbert. This guy, the last 3 weeks, has absolutely killed my season. I went from being very close to first place in total points to falling quite a ways back. And it's mostly because of Herbert. He had another mediocre game, 21 of 28 for 212 and 2 touchdowns. And honestly, John, those are the first 2 touchdowns he's thrown in a month.
Game manager.
The Chargers have changed the way they play football. They used to be an air-it-out team, try to score quick, and now their defense is healthy and they're good on defense, and they're trying not to lose the game. They're just letting Eckler do his thing, keeping it short passes, and winning by any means necessary, and that includes not really throwing the ball near the goal line.
Yeah, I mean they look a little bit like the Ravens back in the day. You know what I mean? Like which is a shame because Herbert's got so much talent. I don't know.
Johnny, they're running the ball 80% of the time in the red zone.
God bless Eckler owners.
Yep.
Chuck's already officially apologized to you, Austin Eckler. What more do you want?
I'm drafting Eckler next year, man.
What more do you want from him, Austin? Leave Chuck alone. My zero quarterback this week is Kirk Cousins. 18 of 31, 205 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 fumble lost, 3 picks, 1 of which went back for a touchdown.
Yeah. That's not good, is it, John?
That's not good. That's about as bad a game as you can possibly have.
Yeah, that was bad.
Bad. Let's go with heroes. Who's your hero quarterback this week?
This pains me to say it because the last time I was on the air, I reapered Tom Brady. And Tom Brady probably watched that and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna punk this fantasy reaper guy. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go out and have my best game in 2 years.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw for over 4 bills and 3 touchdowns and 2 long ones to Evans and get 70 some like points, or maybe it was 80 points. I mean, let me
In
check.
our league, it was 91 points.
You got 91 points in our league, folks. So yeah, Tom Brady's the hero this week, the GOAT. Congratulations, Tommy.
Just for good measure, he ran a touchdown in too, by the way. So you know. It's ridiculous.
Yes.
All right, my hero quarterback is a guy I've probably used as a zero quarterback a couple of times. Daniel Jones, 91 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns to go along with 2 passing touchdowns. He was 19 of 24, so incredibly accurate. Only had 177 yards, but he was too busy running to throw over 300. So my hero this week for quarterback, Mr. Daniel Jones, DJ. I fully believe he will be back next year for the Giants. I think he'll probably get franchise tag, maybe not the long-term deal he wants, but he'll be back with the Giants next year. That's all I'm saying.
I agree.
All right, running backs. Let's go with some zeros. Give me some bad news, Chuck.
You want some bad news? Let's talk about Ramondre Stevenson. 42 yards rushing, 2 catches. Basically second fiddle to Damian Harris, who's healthy again. I just can't win with Ramondre. Ramondre got injured a few weeks back.
Yeah.
He was very questionable to play, so I sat him for the first time all year. He went completely ballistic, had a great game. So then I thought, I got to get him back in my lineup. And the last 2 weeks, the semis and the championship weeks, he was garbage. Can't even
Garbage.
Yeah.
My zero running back was not much better. Chuba gave me a chubby last week because he started to play like I thought Chuba would. I didn't start him. So it did this week. He had 3 runs for 12 yards, ladies and gentlemen. He had 3 catches for 53 yards, but that really doesn't mean that much when you only have 3 runs for 12 yards. 10 points is not going to do it in a fantasy championship week, just in case you were wondering. Son of a... All right, who's your hero? Let's get on to some better news. Who's your hero running back this week, Chuck?
So this guy, I went balls out this year, and I passed on Jonathan Taylor with the number 1 overall pick. And I went Christian McCaffrey, and I took some flack for it. And I'm here to tell you that was the right move.
Yes.
And down the stretch, McCaffrey has been very good, very good. And this week was no exception. He pretty much kept me in the race just on his performance alone. He had 121 rushing yards. He had 72 yards receiving, 6 catches, and a touchdown. Thank you, Christian McCaffrey.
It's a nice week. Mine is a guy I wasn't sure was going to pan out after the first couple of weeks, but boy, over the last couple, he's starting to look a little bit like what we thought he was going to look like. Travis Etienne, the ATM gave me 108 rushing yards, had a nice 62-yard touchdown that was just beautiful. 3 catches for 32 yards, just a really nice day in a week where I really needed it. So welcome to the NFL, Travis Etienne. It's about time.
Absolutely. He's been really good in the second half of the season.
Yep. All right, let's go zeros. Wide receiver, who you got?
I'm going to go with Amon St. Brown. This was the matchup that was supposed to be the best matchup for me at the wide receiver position. It was a high-scoring game like we wanted. Detroit was throwing the ball plenty. Jared Goff had 3 touchdowns. But Amon St. Brown came up small again.
Yeah.
This is like the second week in a row in big games that I needed him, and he didn't really come through. He did have I believe he had 6 catches for 60 some odd yards. That's just not going to cut it.
Yeah.
Not for Amon.
This one's going to hurt me. You broke my heart, Justin Jefferson. 1 catch. 1 for 15 yards. 1 catch for 15 yards, Chuck. I don't know if you heard me say that.
That's just stupid, Johnny. What are we doing? How does Justin Jefferson get 1 ball?
I know I mentioned Kirk Cousins as my zero quarterback, but he still threw for 100 yards. Why weren't all 100 of them to Justin Jefferson? I need to know. I need to know.
I don't know.
Awful.
I don't know what to tell you. That's awful.
Awful. Championship week.
How do
that
you
was
predict?
my number one draft pick.
Yeah, and he's the number one receiver in football. He's been fantastic. But how do you predict that? You can't.
You can't. No. Damn it. All right, let's go to heroes. Just get me out of my bad mood. I'm in a super bad mood now because of Justin Jefferson. Give me a hero.
I'm gonna go on the same kind of thing I was talking about with Tom Brady and talk about Mike Evans. I have Mike Evans in sleeper, but I didn't make the championship, so I didn't get to use him in the one game that would have been the most fun to use him. But he went ballistic, so I'm gonna give him his credit. He looked really good. He scored a ton of points in our league. He had 2 long touchdowns and a third touchdown from 30 yards out, 207 receiving yards, 10 catches. That is one of the best games of the season for a receiver.
Yeah. You actually took my hero. So I'm going to go with a different one. A guy I've actually railed on a little bit at the beginning of the season, but I would say over the last 5 or 6 games, starting to really come into his own as a number one receiver, CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah.
11 catches, 100 yards, needed him to come up big, and he did. He did a great job. So it's a nice week. In our league, you get a bonus if you hit 100 yards. You get a bonus if you get over 10 receptions. So it's a 31-point day for CeeDee Lamb. So I think that was the second highest receiving total of the week. Congratulations, CD. You're my hero.
My hero.
My hero. Do you even want to talk about tight ends or want to move on with our lives?
I'd like to do a hero at tight end.
Okay, I'd like to hear your hero.
Okay, because I haven't used this guy all freaking year as my hero. You know who that is, Johnny?
Who's that?
Mark Andrews. I mean, he didn't get in the end zone, but he did have 10 catches.
Yeah.
No, he had 9 catches, I'm sorry, for 100 yards. So he finally hit that mark.
Yeah.
And he finished as the tight end 2 for the week. And thank you, Mark Andrews, finally. Keep me with a pulse in this league. Appreciate it, but I really need you to come through in week 18 for me, brother. Can you do that?
I'll talk to him and see if he can. Dalton Schultz was another possible hero at the tight end. 7 catches, 56 yards, 2 touchdowns. Big day for Dalton Schultz. I just did 2 Cowboy heroes. Who knew that was coming?
Wow.
All right. I got a little bit of a rant I want to talk about. It's not a long one. It's not anything that I haven't mentioned before, but this past week, I was watching a game and the referee called a catch on the field. And then when you looked at the replay, it was out of bounds. Before a coach could take out a challenge flag, the ref came on and said, the play's been reviewed. It wasn't a catch, incomplete pass. That took 10 seconds. Well, why can't we do this more? Sometimes you could do your taxes in the time it takes them to look at a replay and come up with an answer that is half the time still wrong. What are we doing? Technology's too good today. You can't have all of the commentators, the professional ref that they've got now that's on call that they say, Bob, what'd you see? That guy right there, all the fans go, clearly it's a catch. That guy had a catch. And then they come back on and go, after further review, the play stands as called. What are we doing, Chuck? What are we doing? Why can't we just get this right?
You know, when you're an official, your job is to make snap judgments. And what we're doing now is second guessing their snap judgments, and we're reviewing it. And then the guys that are doing the replay review, they're second guessing themselves too. We all know what a catch is, folks. Yep. And we see it, and me and you can look at a game and go, okay, that was a catch or that wasn't a catch within a few replays. That's what they need to do, and just stick with it. Keep the game flowing. We don't need to go for a 5-minute delay and then decide, well, there wasn't enough evidence to overturn it. It shouldn't have taken 5 minutes. If it takes more than a minute, we're not overturning it. Let's just move on.
That booth review to me, where they go, the booth just reviewed it. They said it's a good catch or it's not a catch. Let's go. That's how it should be. We're too good now. There's too many cameras, too much going on. You can sense things on the field at this point. Let's just stop with the charade that the referees get it right all the time and just use technology the way it should be used. That's
and if it's too hard to tell, like if you don't want to overturn it, fine. But after a minute, let's move on. Let's not drag it out. Like it just
we don't need to see 93 things. No. Right? So Apparently, you think I had merit because I was going to ask you if there was merit to my rant or if I was just being a dick. But
No, total merit.
yeah. All right.
Fearless Fantasy Forecast.
Let's look at our fantasy week ahead. Let's look at some of the scheduled games. This is kind of an interesting week 18. If you're still in it, if you're playing for fantasy points, usually what you're afraid of is most teams just kind of mailing it in because that's just kind of how it is, right? It's at the end of the season, playoff spots are known or whatever. This year, so many games have implications in the playoffs that there's actually going to be some really good fantasy games and some players playing. So I look at KC versus the Raiders and you think, well, KC's clearly made the playoffs. The Raiders are clearly not going to make the playoffs. Are there implications here? What say you, Chuck?
Oh, yeah, the Chiefs are still going for that number 1 seed, so there are implications. They need to win. And they're the early games, so they don't get to see if a couple teams lose and then they automatically get that first seed. They get to play in the first morning game, and they're going to want to win. So they're going to play full steam ahead, so that's good. Get your Patrick Mahomes in there. Get, your McKinnon. Get your, Happy Feet in the Pacheco. Play all your Chiefs. I'd be careful with the wide receiver position because you don't know which one is going to go off each week. But, Travis Kelce, Mahomes, and the running backs, they're good to go.
Totally agree. Tennessee, Jacksonville, playing for a spot in the playoffs. I like Henry. I even like Treylon Burks. They're starting, what's his name for Tennessee? All of a sudden, I just lost his name.
So did
he was
I.
a Pittsburgh Steeler guy. Anyway, they're starting the guy who was on the team for 3 days and then started the quarterback last week. I can't remember that guy's name. I'm starting Henry. On the Jacksonville side, I think Dobbs. Thank you. Yes, Jacksonville side, they ate last time. If you remember, who you starting from Jacksonville, Chucky?
Trevor Lawrence. And
yes,
thank
sir.
God I have Trevor Lawrence because I don't have to start Herbert this week. I'm going Trevor Lawrence all the way. And I'm hoping he has a 4-touchdown game and big numbers. And Tennessee doesn't have a great passing game. But in the last 6 weeks or so, the Titans secondary has been much better. So I'm a little worried. But I know I just got to play Trevor Lawrence because I'm not playing Justin Herbert again.
Yeah, I still don't think their linebackers can cover a tight end, which is why Evan Engram ate so much last time. I'd still play him.
Yeah.
I'd get ATM back in because I think they're going to try to load up for the pass, and ATM didn't have a great time last time, but I think he will this time. So I like him as well.
Right.
New England at Buffalo. Now there is 3 teams from the AFC East playing for a playoff. New England is one of them. Jets are playing Miami. That's another one. So there's a 3-way tie right now. All of them play at the same time. Nobody can wait and watch and do whatever. So that means everyone's going to be playing.
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo may rest people. I don't know.
Why would they? They're still playing for the number 1 seed, possibly.
Yeah. So if the Chiefs lose and the Bengals lose, Buffalo can still win it. You're right. So they'll.
And if if NFL by a miracle decides to play that game between the Bengals and the Bills, and the Bills win that game as well, they're going to be the number 1 seed.
Yeah, it's a good point.
So yeah, they'll be playing. I like Josh Allen this week. I don't know if you remember last year at the end of the season, they played the Patriots in the good weather game, and he went freaking ballistic.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting that to happen again.
Yeah, are you playing any of New England's team, even though they're playing for something?
No, I'm benching Ramondre. I don't trust him. I'm not going to play him. I'd actually rather play Damian Harris if I had him. I don't. I'm not touching the receivers. You're not playing Mac Jones. You're not playing the tight ends. So I'm just sticking on the Bills side, and I am playing James Cook, by the way, in the big money league, by the way. So
I'm Diggs too, right?
I think James Cook's going to have a good game.
Yeah, are you playing Diggs? Are you playing Gabriel?
You got to play Diggs. He's an automatic start. Are you talking about Gabe Davis?
Yeah.
No, I'd probably bench Gabe Davis unless you had to play him. And in one league, I do have to play him because I'm a little weak at wide receiver. But if you can, I'd probably not want to play him because the New England corners are pretty good.
Completely agree. Jets, Miami. I don't think Tua's coming back. And Teddy B dislocated pinky. Now, I think he'll end up playing. I think they'll put it back in place, tape him up, and let him play. He wasn't that great when he was playing. So who do we like in this game?
Well, first of all, I don't think he's going to play. I think it's going to be Thompson. He's been taking all the first team reps. Broken pinky is really tough to grip the ball. Yeah. and he wasn't very good, like you said. So I think they're just going to go Thompson. So that hurts everyone on the offense.
Sure does.
I still trust Tyreek Hill, though, because he will get peppered with targets. Now, whether that produces a lot of yards or not, probably not, but he might catch 10, 12 balls. So I don't like Waddle in this game. If you have Waddle and you're counting on Waddle, you might have to play him, because if you have Waddle, he's a guy that got you here. So you're probably going to play him, but he makes me nervous.
Yeah. If you've got him, we're sorry. That's all I'm going to say. On the Jets side, Mike White's back under center. He's up and down. I don't know that I'm playing him.
Yeah, they proved last week you can't trust any Jets.
Yeah. I might still play Wilson.
If he's one of your top 2 receivers, play him. But if you have better options.
Elijah Moore.
No.
Not playing any of the running backs on the Jets because you can't trust any of them. You're not sure. No. It's a sad way. All right, 2 more games to talk about. Baltimore, Cincy, playing for a division title. I think both teams go all out.
I like Mandrews in this game.
Yeah.
Joey Burrow, Chase, T. Gotta love it. I don't like Mixon, but I like the wide receivers.
I like a little bit Dobbins, rather. You just had me thinking about Dobbs. J.K. Dobbins, I like a little bit, but since his run defense is tougher than people give them credit for, so it's a good-looking run defense, and I just think everybody's going to be just out for bear this week. So that's going to be an interesting game. I think it's going to end up being a shootout. I don't know if Lamar's back. He still wasn't practicing as of today.
Trying to be back.
Yeah, I kind of feel like they.
Where's this game being played, Johnny?
I will tell you right this second, in Cincinnati.
Nice. That's big. I think the Bengals are going to throw a lot.
Yeah. I was at this game last year, the Cincinnati-Baltimore game in Cincinnati, and the Bengals destroyed Baltimore. Like it was a destruction like I have not seen in a long time. So hoping for that, as Bengals are my second favorite team. All right, Cowboys Cards I normally wouldn't talk about because the Cards are but Cowboys still have an outside shot of getting the number 1 seed in the NFC.
They play in the morning.
They're playing all their stars.
Yes, they are.
This is the day Cowboys eat, ladies and gentlemen. Mm-hmm. Who are you playing? Pollard's back practicing. So are you starting Pollard?
If he plays, I'm starting Pollard.
Are you starting Elijah?
Ezekiel?
Yeah. Did I say Elijah? Oh, yeah.
You meant Elliott. Ezekiel Elliott? Yeah.
Actually, I meant Ezekiel. Are you starting Ezekiel?
How many games in a row has he scored a touchdown? Sure.
Lots.
Arizona gives up a lot.
For sure, Dak. For sure, CD. Dalton Schultz today? Do we think that was a fluke last week?
Yeah, play him. I got a question for you, though. This one of the teams in our league has this quandary. Would you play Jalen Hurts, who's back this week most likely, or would you play Dak Prescott?
Oh, I'd play Dak Prescott over Jalen Hurts.
Would you?
Yeah. I don't trust Jalen Hurts.
I don't trust Dak.
I feel like if they get you know what? The Giants aren't going to be playing for much because their seat's already pretty much.
Giants are going to sit their starters, guys, if they do play at all.
You know what? I take that back. If Hurts plays, I might start Hurts.
Okay.
I didn't even put that game on here. So it's a good point. And then lastly, Packers-Lions.
Yeah.
Packers win, they're in. Lions win, they're in if they win and Seattle loses.
Right. I love this game. This is going to be a lot of fun. The only problem is if Seattle wins on Sunday, and then we go to this night game between the Packers and the Lions won't have anything to play for anymore. So
you've met their coach, though, right?
Pride, baby.
Yeah,
Lions
he's going to want to knock Packers out. There's no way they don't play for something there.
I agree. He'll want to win, but there's a difference between wanting to win for pride and wanting to win to get into the playoffs for the first time in decades for the Lions. Yeah. Well, it hasn't been that long.
But my gosh, I really want Seattle to lose. I want Seattle to lose. And
I would love it if Seattle lost that way. And it's a very real possibility that the Rams could pop them. But the Rams don't really have much to play for. However, they've been playing a lot better lately, so we'll see.
Or anyone playing. I mean, most of their starters are out.
I mean, Cam Akers has been going crazy, so.
Yeah. He actually put them in a quandary now. They got to figure out should they save him for next
Probably
year.
should.
Yeah. Who are you going to get that's better? That's what I always say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like your Packers. I like your Lions. Get them all in there.
F those guys.
Yeah.
All right. This segment is called F those guys. This is a segment where we talk about moves that most likely lost us a championship or maybe perhaps helped us get a championship. This can be anything from where you drafted somebody, who you drafted, or who you picked up or didn't pick up. All right. So I'm just going to kind of leave it open. We're calling it F those guys. Who's your first person you want to talk about?
Well, so I want to start off positive. Okay. So F those guys really sounds like we want to bag on some guys that we made bad decisions on. And we'll get to that. But we also want to talk about guys that moves that we made that were like championship level moves. Yeah. And I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. Not taking Jonathan Williams as the consensus first pick overall and instead switching to Christian McCaffrey, who was the injury-prone running back.
Right.
It paid off for me. That was a championship move on my part. I'm really proud of myself for going with McCaffrey after a couple years of pain with him. And guess who was injured all year? Jonathan Taylor.
Sure was. I, in a similar move, did not take him. I took Justin Jefferson. Thinking
not
that
only did you not take him, Johnny, but you didn't take Cooper Kupp, who was the consensus number one wide receiver.
Correct. Because I thought Jefferson might be the Cooper Kupp of this year.
It kind of was.
Pretty close.
Until he got 1 point last week.
Yeah. Take week 17 out, he's been pretty phenomenal pretty much the entire season.
The problem with head-to-head, Johnny, is now the sour taste of all the people that had Jefferson in the lineup for their championship games. That sour taste is going to be in their mouths for years to come. And the guy had a phenomenal year, but we're going to remember when he got one catch in the championship game.
I'm going to remember that he got me to the playoffs, right? I'm going to remember how good he was.
Yeah.
And he was. And I felt great. I didn't take Kupp, got injured, didn't take our guy out of Indianapolis. He got injured. So, no, I felt pretty good about that.
Good move.
My next good move, Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Top of the third round, Joey B. Had we not had this last weekend, or this last Monday, he was right there neck and neck for number one, as I said he would be at the end of the season. He was in second place, but he wouldn't have had that far to go over our guy Mahomes. So anyway, what are you going to do? But yeah, no, I felt really good about him. Who's your other good move you like?
No, I got a bad move. I want to piggyback off of what you just did. So instead of taking a guy like Joe Burrow or Patrick Mahomes, I went with Sherbert.
You went with the Herbs.
I did, and that was an awful move. Now, I did my homework. I looked at the weaponry and the offense and what they did last year, and it all pointed towards Herbert. What I didn't know was going to happen was all the injuries to the wide receivers and a change of philosophy offensively for the team. And now what I'm left with is me looking at Patrick Mahomes or Burrow and saying, had I drafted either one of those guys, and I could have, I would be in first place.
Yeah.
So, F that guy.
I'm going to give you two guys that I'm going to say F that guy because it was my second and third wide receivers for the year that I went in my draft. I was so pleased. So my draft went Jefferson. I came around and took a big chance on Dameon Pierce. And for half of the year, that actually looked like it was a good choice. He ended up getting injured, and that's a different story, but it is what it is. And then I got Burrow, but my next move, my second wide receiver, Darnell Mooney.
Yeah,
my third wide receiver, Rashad Bateman.
Yeah.
And it destroyed me in that league. My second and third wide receivers, who I thought were just top number one receivers, and they go with my draft strategy. I always like to get number one receivers, even if they're on a shitty team, because usually that pans out for you. It absolutely backfired on me this year, and it killed me in that league. Killed me.
Yeah.
Even before they went on injured reserve, they weren't doing anything. So it's not like, I can call Pierce bad luck because he got injured, but he was doing great and then he got injured. Mooney and Bateman were just bad drafts. They were just bad drafts.
All right, I'm going to go in a different way here. I'm not saying I drafted these guys because I didn't, but I have an entire team that I say F those guys to. And that is the Denver Broncos. In week 16, so 2 weeks ago, I had a decision to make. I had Denver's defense going up against the Rams, the lowly Rams, with Baker Mayfield.
Sure.
Or I could have played the Tampa Bay Bucks against Arizona, and they were playing McSorley at quarterback. And, I was excited I was going to get to play against McSorley, and I said all week, if McSorley plays at quarterback, I'm starting the Bucks. But at the last minute, I thought, Denver's D is really coming on. The Rams have nothing to play for, and I played the Broncos. And that decision probably cost me a total points championship because Tampa Bay had a good game. I think they got 20 points defensively, and Denver got me -8 because they got absolutely no sacks, no turnovers, no nothing. They just gave up a shit ton of yards and points and destroyed me. So F those guys.
Yeah.
And also, lesson learned, Denver had nothing to play for. Tampa did. I should have played Tampa. Next year, I will not make that same mistake.
Yeah. I think, Chuck, it's funny because you and I both are similar this year. I think we talked ourselves out of a lot of stuff that we normally would not have. It was a weird year. And so, like for me, I had this gut feeling that I should pick up Jet McKinnon. He was available. He was there. He was ready. I desperately needed a running back. And for some reason, I talked myself out of it, went with a different player who I ended up dropping later anyway.
Yeah.
And Jet McKinnon's been doing what Jet McKinnon's been doing. I mean, that guy's been going off, catching touchdowns every single week. I think he just broke consecutive touchdown record, catch touchdown records for a running back or something like that, or tied it. Jet McKinnon, listen to your gut. I've got the Johnny Ballgame gut, and it's usually does me well, and it's worked several times this year. But yeah, that one hurt me.
All right, I got another one, but this one's on your behalf. I'm going to talk about a tight end that you drafted and then dropped. Then he got picked up by another team, and then they dropped him. And then he got the single best tight end game of the season for a team that is now in first place in our league. And I'm talking about TJ Hawkinson.
Yep.
You had him. You gave up on him early. Another team picked him up, had him, gave up on him early. And then he's been nothing but fantastic all year. He is the tight end 2. And I could have picked him up too. He was on the waiver wire, and I did not. And I let the team that's now in first get him for free on the waiver wire. So F that guy.
He's part of my bad moves. I dropped Hawkinson too early. But again, he also wasn't on the Vikings early, and the Lions just weren't using him. So
and he had a 0 one game. He got a freaking 0.
Oh, it was awful.
Yeah.
I picked up Njoku when I dropped him, and Njoku looked like a freaking great pickup for a couple of weeks there.
Yeah.
Then he got injured, as usual. So, yeah, that was a fun. Give me a couple of pickups you made during the year that ended up making a difference for you. I'll give you a couple of mine while you're thinking about it.
Let me think about it for a minute.
Geno Smith was a really good pickup for me. I needed him for 1 week. Obviously, I've got Burrow. He did great the week that I needed him. He's done great all year. He's in the top 5 or 6 of the quarterbacks. Njoku, I needed a tight end, and Hawkinson wasn't doing anything. And Njoku had a streak of about 6 weeks there where he was in the top 5 tight ends. So I liked that pickup. Darius Slayton, believe it or not, for the Giants helped me in several weeks where I just needed wide receiver help. So listen, man, you got to work your waiver wire. So those are a couple of mine. How about you?
All right. So I just remember one guy that I picked up preemptively before Christian McCaffrey even got traded. I told you guys on this show, go pick up, just in case McCaffrey gets traded, go pick up Deontay Foreman. And he got traded a couple weeks later. And we still weren't sure if it's going to be Foreman or Chuba. And what it turns out is Foreman was fantastic. Yeah. Foreman is the better running back of the two, although from week to week that varies. But when he has a good week, Foreman has a very good week. He's had a couple really big games, and
Yeah.
I got him for free on the waiver wire. So I liked that move that I made. I also like this draft pick. I got Tyreek Hill at the 2-3 turn, and that was my best pick in the draft.
Yeah.
I mean, he is just barely outside the top wide receiver in football, and I was able to get him after all those other guys.
Yeah.
So my best draft pick was Tyreek Hill.
It's a good one. All right. That segment was both awesome and depressing. So
Yeah.
let's go to our we're in closeout. I'm gonna give you some rookie names.
Okay.
And I want you to tell me stud or dud for next year.
Mhm.
Okay?
Yeah.
Damian Pierce.
I think he's a stud. They just need to build up that offensive line a little bit and get a quarterback in there, get a capable offensive coordinator to open up that offense.
Yeah.
Damian Pierce was not the problem. He was their best player.
Completely agree. I'm with you. Chris Olave.
He's a stud. I mean,
Yes.
and I think New Orleans is going to do something at quarterback next year. I don't know if they're going to draft or sign a free agent, but I think they're done with the Jameis Winston thing, and Dalton's going to move on. So, but Olave is a stud, and what he did in his rookie year with that quarterback play, that was phenomenal.
I'd keep Dalton as my backup.
I would too, as a backup. Yeah, but you need to go out and get a starter.
Yeah. Garrett Wilson.
Absolute freaking stud.
Yeah.
But if they're going to continue to smoke their ganja and talk about they're not giving up on Zach Wilson, then that's a problem. Zach Wilson needs to go. He needs to go. He ain't the guy. They need to go get a quarterback. And I wouldn't mind them going after a guy like Tom Brady. Someone that can throw the ball accurately to Garrett Wilson, because that guy's a stud. He is the best receiver in this class.
Love it. Mostly I got guys on this list because I think they're studs too. So Kenneth Walker III, I think, is a stud.
Absolute stud.
Here's a guy I like a lot. Shitty team, Tyler Algier. Have you seen his last 4 weeks?
He's getting a lot of volume, Johnny, which is good. And he's doing the best he can with it.
He can catch the ball. He can run hard.
Yeah.
They're a young team. They've got Ritter, who's a young quarterback. They've got the young Pitts coming back. A couple of young wide receivers. Just keep an eye. I got a Johnny Ballgame gut feeling about him for next year.
And the best thing about Algier is you'll be able to get him in the middle round somewhere.
Oh.
He's not going to be a top 5-6 round pick.
No.
You're going to get him in
take
the
a second
9th,
round
10th
flyer
round.
on him again, like I did Pierce this year.
I mean, you might do that, Johnny, but you won't have to.
No. Pacheco, interesting.
No. There's something not right about the way he runs. He runs like a cartoon character. Like his legs are moving faster than his body. And then it feels like he needs his body to catch up to his legs before he actually gets going. I don't see the vision. I think McKinnon's a better running back, and that's why he's getting more touchdowns.
Yeah.
Pacheco's fast, and he's quirky. I don't know. And I don't trust the Chiefs. Like, they always go out and get more running backs. So
Right.
I feel like he's going to suffer the same fate as CEH. He'll just kind of fade away.
Yeah. Rashad White.
To be determined. If Fournette leaves, I like Rashad White a lot better because I do like the talent. But here's the problem. That team's going to be completely different next year. Tom Brady's
They're going to blow that team up.
They're going to blow it up. Tom Brady's gone. And Tom Brady's a check down guy. He throws to his running backs. So I don't know who's going to be the quarterback there. And a lot of value for Rashad White is based on catching a lot of passes out of the backfield. So I want to see who their quarterback is and if they can improve that offensive line and if Fournette's gone before I make that judgment.
Jahan Dotson.
Oh, yeah. Jahan Dotson's a stud. Again, needs a quarterback.
Yeah.
So what are they going to do? Quarterback, we'll find out. But he's had some couple good games, but he's had some duds too. But I think that's more based on his injuries and quarterback play than it is his actual talent.
Brian Robinson, I like.
Absolutely.
Christian Watson, I like.
Stud.
This one I'm going to give to you because I just want to see your face light up. Brees Hall.
Brees Hall! I knew what you were going to say, guys. I mean, even after a torn ACL, if you're not taking him in the top 3 rounds next year, I will get him in every league. And thank you very much.
Yeah.
This guy is a stud. I called it. I nailed it. It's awesome. So sad that he got injured, Johnny. Yeah. So sad.
Yep, me too. Last guy I think is a little interesting. James Cook.
So I don't think James Cook is a feature back. I think he's a complimentary back. He reminds me a lot of Jerick McKinnon in Kansas City. He's a guy that you throw the ball to 5 or 6 times a game.
Yeah. And
he's explosive, but he's not his brother. He's not a guy you can give 20 carries to. So for that reason, I'm like wishy-washy on him.
Yeah. You know who he reminds me of? Do you remember James Brooks for the Bengals back in the day? That's who he reminds me of. Yeah, you catch the balls out of the backfield, catch the balls all day long. So
yeah, and there's value to that.
Certainly, yeah. I mean, look at White, James White for New England for years. He's been made a living doing that. Yeah.
That's what he's doing now.
Got that right. All right, well, that is our show for tonight. Chuckles, always good to hear you, man. I like hearing you in this role where I feed it to you and just let you go off. That's actually kind of fun for me. So nice job today.
Appreciate it.
Tony, good luck on what you got going on right now. We'll see you back in a couple of weeks. Royce, thanks as always for your guest appearance. Oh, wait, that's right. You didn't come on again. Anyway, for the Chuckster, I'm Johnny Ballgame. See you guys later. Don't forget to hit that like button. Get us algorithms, not logarithms. I don't know what those are. All right, that's it. Have a good night, everybody.
Aloha, everyone.
Aloha.